All right, so looking at the warm-up for today, Orville and Wilbur Wright made their first airplane flights in 1903. Wilbur's flight was 364 feet. This was 120 feet longer than Orville's flight. Write and solve an equation to find the length of Orville's flight. So, what we don't know is how long Orville's flight was. We do know it was longer. It was 120 feet longer. Wilbur's flight was 120 feet longer than Orville's flight. Write and solve an equation to find the length of Orville's flight. So, B for brother, I tried to use O, but what was the problem with using O? It looked like a 0, so I changed it to a B. B plus 120 feet equals 364 feet. So I needed to solve for Orville, the brother. And so if you have this equation, I should see the work set up like this. Lots of you came up with an equation like that with maybe X or M or something like that. But you didn't go through and solve it like a one-step equation. So I would expect you to go back and subtract 120 from both sides. And B for brother, which is Orville, equals 244. And then you need to have words. Orville's flight was 244 feet. A pair of boots cost $159, but the pair is on sale today for 25% off. How much money will you save if you buy the shoes today? Well, you'll save $39.75. Who knows how I found that answer?
Miller,
Yes?
can you send Alan Massagill to the office?
Yes? Thank you.
Thank you.
So how did I get that answer, Jonathan? Times 25%. And that's exactly what you push on your calculator. 159 times 25, use the percent button. So he is going to save $39.75. So if that's how much he saves, he is going to pay $119.25. Who knows how I got that answer? What did I do? I subtracted. I took the original price, $159. I subtracted $39.75, and that equals $119.25. All right. A shark can swim at an average speed of 25 miles per hour. At this rate, how far can a shark swim in 2 4/10 hours? So my first ratio is 25 miles in 1 hour. Set that equal to, and I don't know the 60, how many miles in 2.4 hours? So we don't know the 60 yet. Cross multiply 2 4/10 times 25, you get 60. 60 divided by 1 is 60. So a shark can swim 60 miles in 2 4/10 hours. All right. Any questions? Nope. Okay, so let's pick up where we left off yesterday. On the green paper, did we finish the third shape? Yes or no? No. All right, so let's look at example 3 on your green paper before we go any further. Oh, you'll have to wait until after this. So write it on paper or something. Yes? Okay, but not everybody. All right. So let's look at example 3 briefly. So we start up here in example 3, and we have a triangle. So that formula is 1/2 base times height. And so the base of that triangle is 7, and the height is 4. Excuse me. So 1/2 of 7 times 4. 7 times 4 is 28, and half of 28 is 14. So the area of this triangle is 14 yards squared. How do we find the area of a square? It's base times height. So the base is 7 and the height is 7. So 7 times 7 is 49. So the area for the square is 49 yards. This shape down here is a parallelogram. So to find the area of a parallelogram, we say base times height. So the base of this is 7, and the height is 3. So 7 times 3 is 21. And you just add 14, 49, and 21. And so the area of the entire composite figure is 84 yards squared. Any questions on that one? No? Okay. Anybody still copying anything down? Okay. All right, so let's look at the paper that says area of irregular shapes. That one to me is a little bit easier than the other paper. So if you were building on that, we would start here. So the two shapes that we have are a triangle and a rectangle. So I'm going to let's start with the rectangle. It's easier to see. So the base of that rectangle is 12 and the height is 2. So to find the area is 12 times 2, and so that is 24 centimeters squared. Now, what makes the triangle more difficult? What's hard to find on the triangle, Braden? The base is hard to find. So, I'm looking at this right here. There's no number. But what I know is that this top length has to be equal to this bottom length. And this bottom length is 12. So this part plus 9 has to equal 12. What number plus 9 equals 12? 3. So the base of this is 3 centimeters. I have that little line right there. How did I find the height is 4 centimeters? Lots of people had trouble with that. How did I know that the height was 4 centimeters? Jonathan? It says it. The height of the triangle in the shape below is 4 centimeters. It says it right there. So 1/2 of 4 times 3, and 4 times 3 is 12, and half of 12 is 6. So the area of the triangle is 6 centimeters squared. So I'm going to add the 6 and the 24 together. And 24 plus 6 is 30 centimeters squared. So the area of this composite figure is 30 centimeters squared. Any questions about that one? How many people got that one right? Good. All right, let's look at the next one. The next one is not very difficult either, I don't think. Let me get a couple of highlighters to make things a little bit easier if we're having trouble. All right, so how many different shapes are in that composite figure? You're going to break it into 3 different pieces. So I broke mine here and here. Are there other ways you could have broken yours up? Yes. But let's solve this one. So I see this right here is 2 times 2. So what is the area of this part? 4 feet squared. This is 2, and this height is the same as this height, so that's also a 2. So that one is also 4 feet squared. This one is a little bit more difficult to see. I saw lots of folks that thought that was 48 feet. Is that shape 48 feet squared? No. Well, the base is 12, but what's the height? Is the height 4? No, that 4 is this entire part all the way up here. That's the 4. You can't really see that color, can you? The 4 goes all the way up to the top, and we're not talking about all the way up to the top. We're just talking about to here. So we know that this part right here is 2. So we know that's 2 right there. So what's this bottom height? 2, right? because this 2 plus that 2 equals that 4. So 2 times 12 equals 24 feet squared. And now how do we get that answer? Add it up. 24 plus 4 plus 4. 32 feet squared. 32 feet squared. Any questions on that one? No. All right, the last one. There's 2 different ways to break this one apart. 2 different ways. So, one way, who wants to tell me the way they did it? Aiden, how'd you do it?
I split it from this, the bottom part across making the square.
Right there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, he went that way. We'll do it the other way in just a minute. All right, so what is the area of this first part then, Aiden?
56.
Up here?
Oh, I thought you meant the square like that.
What is that one?
28.
28. So this is 28 inches squared because 2 times 14 is 28. Now, Aiden says he thinks this is 56. I disagree. Can anybody help me out on why I disagree? If you just took those numbers, 7 times 8, that is 56. But what are we not thinking about, Jemiah? The 8 goes all the way up to the top. And do we include that part? No, we don't include that part. So we're looking at this. This plus 2. 2 plus whatever this number is has to equal this 8. So what is that height right there? 6. This height right here is 6. Because 6 plus 2, this little bit, like remember, if it's like a garage door and if I push this up, I just move that right into line, that's going to be 2 plus 6 has to equal that whole thing. That has to equal 8. So what is the area of this composite figure? And is that really a square? No, because that would have to be those would have to be the same number for it to be a square. So it's a rectangle. Eric? 42. 42 inches squared. And the math now is add. 42 plus 28. 70 inches squared. 70 inches squared. All right, if you solved it the other way, I'll show that one in my old journal. We ready to see the other one? If you solved it the other way, it would look a little something like this. If you broke it right there, then this one is 7 times 8, and you get 56. And then if we broke it here, this side plus this has to equal 14. So 7 plus this 7 is 14. So this area is 2 times 7, and you get 14 inches squared. So either way is correct. It's up to you the way you wanted to solve it. All right, any questions on this page? No? Okay. All right, so now let's look at the other page. I think it gets a little bit more difficult. But still, we knew how to solve these problems last year, too. All right. Do what? Yeah, the other page was supposed to help you do a little bit more remembering. Let me get my pencil. All right, this first shape, how many pieces do you have to break it into? 3. You have to break it into 3. I saw lots of people that just split it right here. Well, what is that shape called? Do we know the formula for that shape? I don't. If you do, then you can teach it to me, but I don't. So, you also have to break it right there. Or you could have broken it there and had a rectangle I'm not exactly sure if that's a square or not. It kind of looks like it, but I haven't done the math yet. And a triangle. So let's leave it like this first. There's also another way that we can do this in just a minute. Okay, so what is the area of this bottom figure? So I can say 8 times 4, and I get 32 inches squared. All right, now let's think about this shape. Well, I can see that the base is 5 3/10. But what's this height going to be? This height or this height? Well, this whole thing is 8, and I have from here to here is 4. So if this is 4, this has to be what to get 8? That height right there has to be 4 inches. If that's 4 inches, then this is 4 inches. Problems? Okay. So how am I going to find the area of this? I'm going to say 5 3/10 times 4. And 5 3/10 times 4. Anybody? It's what? 21 2/10. Now I've really got to think about this. This one's the one that's going to give me some trouble. I already see the height. The height is 4. The base is what's going to give me trouble. So I know that this is 8. This is 8 here. This is 8. This is 5 3/10. So 5 3/10 plus this has to equal what? 8. So how am I going to figure that out? Because I can't just do that one in my head. What do you think, Gage? 8, this 8 minus 5 3/10 gives me 2 7/10. 2 7/10. So then a triangle is 1/2 of base times height. So 1/2 of 2 7/10 times 4. And 1/2 of 2 7/10 times 4 is, anyone? No one did that one? 54. This, you did 2 7/10 and not 27. So this area right here is 5 4/10 inches squared. And now what's the math? Add. 32 plus 21 2/10 plus 5 4/10. 6, 5, 8. Oh. 3 plus 2 is 5. 58 6/10 inches squared. Questions on that one? No. There's another way that you can do that. You can turn this into one big rectangle. Find the area of the big rectangle and then subtract this missing triangle off. Did anybody do that? Where you composed it and made it one big rectangle first? No? Okay. All right. What are we going to break this one into? A triangle and a square. All right. So I've got to figure out what the height is here. And I've got to figure out what the base is here. So let's talk about the big rectangle first. What's the area of this rectangle? 70, because the base is 10 and the height is 7. 10 times 7 equals 70 centimeters squared. I'm going to turn it so I can see this. So what's going to be the base of this triangle? Right? It matches this. If this is 7, this is 7. So 7 centimeters. The height is this part right here. So if this is 10 and this whole thing is 15, well then this part right here has to be 5 feet. Okay? Oh, it's 5 centimeters. I can't change the unit. That's not okay. So, what's the formula for area of a triangle? 1/2 base times height. So 1/2, the base is 7, and the height is 5. 7 times 5 is 35. Half of 35 is 17 and 5/10. So this is 17 and 5/10 centimeters squared for that. And now what do we do? Add 70 plus 17 and 5/10 centimeters squared. To me, I think that was probably the easiest one. Yes. The next one is probably the most difficult because we're doing it a little bit differently. All right, so to me this kind of reminds me of a swimming pool, and we have like a little area cut out for the steps to go in. So this part is missing. This part is missing. So I need to find the area of the whole shape first. The area of the whole shape. Then I'm going to find the area of that. Then am I going to add it or am I going to subtract it? You're going to subtract it. You're going to have to take that part back off. So what am I going to multiply together to get the area of the whole rectangle? Braden? 16 times 12. So 16 times 12 equals 192 feet squared. That's for this whole thing, including that shape. Now I've got to do some math to figure out what this is. Now what shape is that? It's a trapezoid. So let's think about what the formula is for a trapezoid. It's base 1 plus base 2 times the height divided by 2. So I've got to do a little bit of work here to figure out what the bases are. So I can see this part right here is this part right here. So really kind of the top smaller edge of the trapezoid is going to be 2. I'm going to draw. So this is 2 when it's down in there. Now, I've got to figure out what this is. This whole edge here has to equal this whole edge here. So 6 plus this plus 6 has to equal 16. So what is this longer side of the trapezoid? 4. This is going to be 4. Does everyone see how we know that's 4? Because 6 plus 4 is 10 plus another 6 is 16. And this is 16. So we figured out that's 4. Now I got to figure out what this height is here. So this whole thing is 12, but from here to here is 11. So what's this height right here? 1. The height is 1. Right? Because 11 plus 1 is 12, and this whole thing is 12. So now I can use this formula. 4 plus 2 times 1 divided by 2. 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 times 1 is 6. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 feet squared. So this trapezoid right there is 3 feet squared. Now, we said we're not going to add it together. We want to take that part off. So we're going to say 192 minus 3, 189 feet squared. That is your answer for that one. All right. So, yesterday, did we put the green paper in our journal or no? No. Okay. It's going to go on page 99. Area of composite figures. Area of composite figures. And I don't know that we need the 2 homework sheets from last night in our journal. Do you feel like you need these in your journal, or is the green sheet enough? I feel like the green sheet is enough. You may want to hold on to it for referencing. But page 99 is area of composite figures. And you're just going to glue it in on page 99. All right, so in class today, you are going to work on the skills practice side, only do the even problems. Even problems, that's what? 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. And on the back, you're going to do all of them. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on one side and 6 on the other. I will let you find a partner to work with if you think that's going to be easier, but you need to be working. The first sign of an off math conversation, you go back to your desk and you'll work on your own. You'll have 23 minutes or so to work on this in class. I would make the most use of your time because you do not have projects today. All right, if you have a question, come and see me. All right, go.